Long ago, across the endless grasslands of ancient Mongolia, there came a time when the sky itself turned against the people. In those distant days, there were not one, but 7 blazing suns. At first, the suns rose one after another, spreading warmth across the earth and helping life flourish. The rivers sparkled, the grasslands stretched green to the horizon, and herds of horses thundered beneath bright blue skies. But as the years passed, the 7 suns grew proud and reckless. Instead of taking turns, they began to climb into the heavens together. Day after day, 7 burning stars blazed overhead at once. Their combined heat scorched the land. Rivers shrank into muddy scars. Lakes disappeared. Grass withered into dust. The wind carried clouds of sand across the plains, where green fields once stood. Animals collapsed from thirst. Families searched desperately for water. The people looked upward and saw no mercy in the sky. Every sunrise brought greater suffering. Elders prayed, shamans performed sacred rituals, warriors searched for answers. Yet nothing changed. The 7 suns continued to burn brighter and hotter, as if they cared nothing for the world below. And as despair spread across the land, many began to believe that no one possessed the courage to challenge the terrible power shining above them. Among the people of the Great Steppe lived a hunter and archer named Erkhii Mergen. He was not a king. He commanded no army. He owned no palace of gold. Yet throughout the grasslands, stories were told about his unmatched skill with a bow. They said he could strike a running fox from impossible distances. They said he could split one arrow with another in mid-air. Most impressive of all, he never boasted about his abilities. While others spoke loudly around campfires, Erkhii Mergen listened. While others sought glory, he focused on duty. He understood that true strength meant protecting others, not seeking praise. As the suffering across the land grew worse, he watched villages struggle to survive. He saw exhausted mothers carrying empty water skins. He saw children staring at dry riverbeds where fish once swam. He saw horses and sheep wandering across the plains, searching for grass that no longer existed. Everywhere he traveled, the same question haunted the people. Who would save them from the 7 suns? Many believed the problem was too great. How could a single person challenge forces that ruled the heavens themselves? Yet Erkhii Mergen could not ignore what he witnessed. Every day the world grew weaker. Every day more life disappeared beneath the sun's merciless fire. One evening, standing alone upon a rocky hill, he gazed toward the burning sky. As 7 blazing orbs sank toward the horizon, a decision formed within his heart. If no one else would act, then he would. The next morning, leaders from across the grasslands gathered beneath a cloudless sky. Chiefs, hunters, warriors, elders, and shamans came together to discuss the crisis. Their faces were lined with worry. Their voices carried fear. Some spoke of abandoning the land. Others suggested waiting for the gods to intervene. But Erkhii Mergen stepped forward and silenced the crowd. He pointed toward the 7 blazing suns hanging overhead and declared that the suffering must end. The gathering erupted in disbelief. Some laughed. Others shook their heads. Even the bravest warriors thought the task impossible. How could an arrow reach the heavens? How could a man challenge 7 suns? Yet Erkhii Mergen remained calm. He announced a solemn vow before everyone present. If he failed to shoot down the extra suns and save the world, he would leave human society forever and never return. The crowd fell silent. This was no boast. This was a promise made with his life and honor. The shamans warned him that such a challenge could anger powerful spirits. The elders begged him to reconsider. But Erkhii Mergen's resolve never wavered. He understood that courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is acting despite fear when others depend on you. As the gathering watched, he raised his bow toward the blazing sky. In that moment, the fate of the world rested upon the determination of a single archer. Before attempting the greatest shot in history, Erkhii Mergen prepared himself with care. He climbed a high mountain where the winds swept across the steppe like invisible rivers. There he spent days studying the movement of the sky. He watched how the suns traveled across the heavens. He observed the shifting currents of air and the patterns of light. He knew that reckless action would fail. Strength alone was not enough. Skill, patience, and wisdom were equally important. Each day he practiced drawing his bow until his muscles trembled. Each night he sharpened his arrows beneath the stars. Below him, the land continued to suffer. Dust storms swept across dried plains. Herds grew smaller. Villages struggled to survive. The sight only strengthened his determination. Finally, after many days, Erkhii Mergen stood upon the mountain peak with 7 carefully crafted arrows. The sky blazed brighter than ever. Heat shimmered across the horizon. The 7 suns appeared almost alive, radiating arrogance and power. Many people gathered below the mountain to witness what would happen. Some prayed for success. Others feared disaster. Everyone understood they were about to witness an event unlike anything the world had ever seen. The archer took a deep breath and planted his feet firmly upon the stone. The moment of truth had arrived. The wind fell silent as Erkhii Mergen lifted his bow. Every eye watched. Every heart held its breath. Slowly, he drew back the string until it was stretched to its limit. The bow creaked with tremendous tension. His gaze locked onto the first blazing sun. For a brief moment, the world seemed frozen. Then, he released. The arrow exploded forward like a bolt of lightning. It climbed higher and higher, cutting through the sky with incredible speed. The people below watched in stunned silence. The arrow grew smaller as it rose toward the heavens. Then, with a flash brighter than any storm, it struck its target. The first sun shattered. A wave of light rippled across the sky. Fragments of fire scattered like sparks from a great forge before vanishing into the distance. A roar of astonishment echoed across the plains. The impossible had happened. One of the 7 suns was gone. For the first time in years, a faint sense of hope returned to the people. But Erkhii Mergen did not celebrate. 6 suns still burned overhead. The world was not yet safe. Calmly, he reached for his second arrow. The challenge had only begun. Again and again, Erkhii Mergen drew his bow. Each shot demanded perfect focus. Each arrow soared higher than the last. One by one, the blazing suns fell. The second shattered in a burst of golden fire. The third vanished in a thunderous explosion of light. The fourth broke apart like molten glass. The fifth disappeared beyond the clouds. The sixth cracked and dissolved into sparks that rained harmlessly across the heavens. With every fallen sun, the sky grew less harsh. The burning heat began to ease. Cool winds returned to the steppe. Below, the people cheered with growing excitement. They realized they were witnessing the salvation of the world. Yet the final sun remained. Alone in the sky, it blazed brighter than all the others had before. Perhaps it had finally understood fear. Perhaps it realized what awaited it. Whatever the reason, the last sun began to move. It raced across the heavens, trying desperately to escape the fate of its companions. Murmurs spread through the crowd. Could even Erkhii Mergen hit a target that refused to stand still? The final challenge would be the hardest of all. The remaining sun fled wildly across the heavens. It darted behind clouds, raced toward distant horizons, and twisted through the sky like a frightened animal. Never before had anyone seen such a sight. The great blazing star that had once scorched the world now seemed terrified. Erkhii Mergen remained focused. He tracked every movement. His eyes never left the fleeing target. Time seemed to slow. The crowd below watched in complete silence. The fate of the world depended upon a single arrow. The archer adjusted his stance. He accounted for the wind, the distance, and the speed of the escaping sun. Every lesson he had learned throughout his life guided him in that moment. He drew the string back one final time. His muscles strained. His heart remained steady. Then he released. The arrow streaked upward, faster than any before. It cut across the heavens in pursuit of the fleeing sun. For a moment, it appeared certain to strike. But at the last possible instant, the final sun veered away. The arrow missed by the narrowest margin imaginable and vanished into the distance. A gasp spread through the crowd. The last arrow was gone. The final sun still remained. Silence covered the mountain. Erkhii Mergen lowered his bow and looked toward the sky. The final sun remained suspended above the earth, glowing alone in the vast heavens. The people waited anxiously. Had he failed? Would the terrible heat return? Yet something unexpected happened. The lone remaining sun no longer blazed with arrogance. Having witnessed the destruction of the other 6, it had been transformed by fear and humility. Instead of dominating the sky, it began following a careful path. It rose each morning and crossed the heavens with discipline before disappearing each night. No longer did it linger overhead. No longer did it seek to overwhelm the world. Gradually, balance returned. The burning heat faded. Rain clouds gathered once more. Rivers began to flow. Fresh grass emerged from the soil. Animals returned to the plains. Life slowly recovered. The people celebrated, believing Erkhii Mergen had succeeded in saving the world. Yet the archer remembered the vow he had made. He had promised that if he failed to destroy all the extra suns, he would leave human society forever. His mission had saved the earth, but technically, one sun remained. A promise was a promise. Many begged Erkhii Mergen to stay. The chiefs argued that he had done more than enough. The elders insisted that he was the greatest hero the world had ever known. Families whose lives had been saved thanked him with tears in their eyes. Yet Erkhii Mergen could not ignore his word. Honor meant keeping a promise, even when breaking it would be easy. He knew that integrity is measured not when things are difficult, but when excuses are available. With sadness, he prepared to leave. According to the ancient tale, he transformed himself and journeyed away from human society. Some versions say he became a marmot and disappeared into the grasslands. Others say he entered the wilderness to live alone beneath the open sky. Whatever the truth, he vanished from the world of people. Those who watched him depart felt both gratitude and sorrow. Their hero had saved them, yet they would never see him again. The story spread across the steppe, carried by travelers, hunters, and storytellers. Generation after generation remembered the archer who valued honor as highly as victory. His actions became a symbol of responsibility, sacrifice, and unwavering character. To this day, the tale of Erkhii Mergen remains one of Mongolia's most powerful legends. It is more than a story about an archer and 7 sons. It is a story about facing overwhelming problems when everyone else feels helpless. The 7 sons represent challenges that seem impossible to overcome. They symbolize fear, hardship, uncertainty, and the crushing weight of obstacles that appear too large for any individual to confront. Yet the myth teaches that great change often begins with one person willing to take decisive action. Erkhii Mergen did not wait for someone else to solve the crisis. He stepped forward when the world needed courage. He combined preparation with determination, wisdom with action, and skill with responsibility. Even after saving the world, he remained true to his promise, demonstrating that character matters as much as achievement. The lone sun that remains in the sky serves as a reminder that balance is often better than destruction. Not every challenge must be eliminated entirely. sometimes the goal is to restore harmony rather than seek perfection. And whenever life feels overwhelming, the legend asks a simple question. When 7 suns are burning overhead, will you wait for someone else to act, or will you become the archer who raises the bow?